All right, so we're up here testing the actuator. So we've just momentarily hooked up the actuator up here, and we did this before down on the garage with our wooden kind of mimicked roof. But now we're up here and we're actually testing the actual thing. So we've just tied the ends up with some clamps because just to secure them, and then we're just testing, is it smooth going in and out? That's what we're testing right now, just to be sure before we clamp anything down or put anything on or glue anything or strap anything down, that we have everything working the way it's supposed to be working, so we start off on the right foot. And so far it's tested out good. So we're using our little battery again from my drill. It is only 20 volts and this thing is 24 volts, so it's a little slow, but it's not too bad. So it takes about a minute for the whole thing to go out and in. So so far it's testing well. So this is turning out well. So if it tests well, then what we'll probably do is start securing this actuator in its place. So right now I'm just holding it with my arm, with my hand, and because it'll push against the structure. So right now I'm just holding it, and so far it's worked out really well. So we're gonna go ahead and bring it back in, and if that does okay, then we will consider the next step, which is trying to secure this down. So we've got 2 straps on each end, which we'll screw in, and we'll also probably glue it to get it to stick. So anyway, that's the next step. Anyway, we're going to try to come in and glue that up. We'll see how this goes. Alright.
Does he want me to kind of hold this up?
Oh, can you?
Oh,
Okay,
have it lined up correctly.
Yep, that looks right about there. All right, so we've glued this one. It's hard to see because it's really, really bright up here. So it's a bright Arizona morning, but we've glued that down, glued this one down, and we've got a strap, so that's what these holes are for here. So we've got some straps that will also hold it down. This glue is extremely strong. So this is called 3M 5200, and it honestly should hold it by itself. So, but we are gonna strap it down as well. Anyway, so we'll let this set up a little bit. It's already kind of drying. It's Arizona, so it's warm and sunny, so it's starting to set up, and this glue should be UV resistant as well as just weather resistant, cold and hot, and it should also stay kind of rubbery. So so we'll see. Alright, so we've got it strapped in with some stainless steel hardware and some straps with rubber coating on them. So this is, the glue hasn't set, but that's set. So it should hold. There's 4 straps on each actuator, and these aren't heavy to push out the panels. And as a bonus, I've got my own umbrella girl. So my dreams are all coming true. Alright, so we got the actuators fit on yesterday. They're glued and bolted down, and they're pretty set up. We went up there today and tried to see if we could move them around, and the glue is, it's not 100% dry, but it's pretty dry. So we're going to try to put the panels up, at least the lower panels, and it's a little bit of a chore. We got to get them up on the scaffolding and then get them up over. So Michelle and I are going to try to do that. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, we got this first panel in. It's not secured or anything, but everything is sliding nice and smoothly. And we've checked all the clearances on the edges to make sure it's centered correctly. And now you'll see we'd already pre-drilled holes in our brackets here. So now we have to drill through those into the edge of the panel, and then we can go ahead and secure those with our bolts. So that's the next step. All right, so we got all of the screws in on both sides. You can see those are all done. When we built this kind of on the ground, we had initially screwed in or drilled in holes on the bottom of these brackets as well, so we could screw up into the panels as well. But after putting just all these ones in on the sides, on both sides of the panel, it really doesn't need those. This is super secure. There's 18 stainless steel screws holding this panel in. So we're not gonna put those ones on the bottom. It seems to be just fine, super strong without it. So we're gonna basically just replicate that on panel number 2. And then once that's done, we can then bring up the rail that we will attach to the front here that goes all the way across and what hooks into the actuator right here, and push it. Then when the actuator pushes out, it pushes on that rail to pull both panels out at once. So we've got to get that second panel in first for the lower second panel, and then we can put that rail up.
All right, so we have mounted the lower panels and put the actuator on and everything, and so now we're super excited. We're going to start wiring. What we're using is 10 gauge. This is actually PV wire or photovoltaic wire. It's meant to be outside. It's got a very thick plastic kind of sheathing on it. So the wires that are on the panels are actually 12 gauge. These should be more than enough for the shortish runs that we have to do into our combiner box. And so you saw our combiner box. Now we're going to put these MC4 ends on it and crimp those together, and so we'll show you how we do those. So the tools we're using are, we bought some MC4 crimpers. These are specialty crimpers for these exact things. We're going to cut it with our little Fat Max wire cutters. We got a pair of needle nose because you always seem to need those for some reason, and then we're using these to strip it. So we tried to use our other strippers, but they wouldn't work, but these seem to work just fine. So, and we're also using these MC4 tool. It's a spanner set. So these these go in here, and so you can hold them like that, and then this other end fits perfectly on that little thing there. So we will be putting these together and getting them up on the roof. So that's the plan for today. Alright, so we'll do our negative cable first. I've already gone ahead and stripped it with this. We're using Renovating MC4 connectors. They're actually quite nice. So you take them apart, and inside there's weatherproofing. So there's a seal, a rubber seal for the water, and then a strain relief kind of crimper thing there. So what we do first though is we crimp on. So we're gonna do, this is a male end of the MC4, which is actually a female electrical connector. So we'll do that first. We'll get this in here and we'll clamp it down. So I sometimes have a little bit of problem doing this by myself, but I'm going to give it a go. So I like to do it like that, and then I'll put the wire in and make sure it's all the way seated. Make sure I don't have any hairs coming outside. So I think that's good right there. So then I'll go ahead and give it a good crimp. And there it is, and you can see how it's really grabbed on there. So it's crimped on there good. So now we'll go ahead and put these on. So put that one first, then this little wire crimpy thing or strain relief thing, and then this rubber thing is what keeps the water out. And so the big fat part with the lip on it goes down. So that goes there, and so that'll go over there. And then we put this into the connector, and you should hear a click when it is seated all the way in. So we'll put it in, and then there's the click. So you should hear a little click in there. And so then this goes all the way down, and this has to go all the way in like that, so that it's all the way around the connector. Okay, and then this thing slides over that. And lastly, we bring our screw guy in, and this will get tightened up all the way. And so that's where these little guys come into place. So that little thing is positioned exactly to hold that. Whoops. And then these fit right over these little nubs, and then you can use that to tighten these up. Alright, there we go. So that's seated, and now we can see there's our cable. So what we do is we make one end, and then we'll take it up there and make sure it all fits all the way back to the box, and then we'll measure and cut, and then we'll bring it back down and make the other connector. So not the most efficient way, but we found that it's the way that we make the least amount of mistakes. So anyway, that's what we'll be wiring these other two up, and then getting the wire up there and going from there. All right, so we're up here, and these two sets of panels will get wired in series. So the positive of this one, which is this guy right here, will get wired to the negative of this one, which is this guy here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a couple of holes in the bottom to zip tie these up and out of the way, and then just kind of clip them together on the back, and so that should allow them to go back and forth without too much trouble. So we'll do that now. Well, that one's already done. I'll just do it loose for now, just to get them up there. Okay, so these, whoops, come through here, go straight back that way. We'll just do these loose. We'll just leave these loose for now, but we are going to really tie these together. So the positive will go with the negative of this one right here. And so we'll hook these together, and you should hear a click. So there has to be a click. There we go. And then they're in. So now these two panels are tied in series, and we'll send these electrical connections back. So these are the ones we made wires for right here. So this one will be the negative, and this one over here will be the positive. We'll send those all the way back against the rail, take them across to our combiner box. So that's what we'll go get now.
Okay, so I'm up on the roof right now, and what we did is we just took the wires that we made, the connectors that we made already, and we just kind of temporarily zip tied them to the ones on the panels here and here, so that we could lay out our wire the way we want it to go. You can see we're gonna run it along this back unistrut, and we will tie it up there to keep it off the roof and just a little more protected. And then, so we laid it out and kind of looped it around so that we would know how long to cut it. So like this one is going to come in to this connector, and this one, it's hard to do this one-handed, but this one's going to come down here and go into this connector. So we just wanted to make sure that we got the length right. So that's why we just kind of temporarily did that, and then we cut them to length. Now we will go ahead and cut those zip ties off and take the wire back down to make the connectors for the other side, and then we can go ahead and permanently attach it.
Okay. Click them.
I think that one actually clicked. Okay. Are you gonna want this to go on top of these, like that, or
yeah.
Or I mean, you don't want them to go underneath,
yeah,
right?
on top.
All right. Do you want me to go ahead and put this on?
Yeah, just click it in.
Okay, I'm trying to see like that way, or yeah, I guess that way.
It's only going one of two ways.
I know. Okay.
Good. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Red one.
Yep.
Red one's going to be that end. In?
I think that's in.
Okay.
So let's zip tie.
Zip tie it up. Yep.
Up.
Okay.
Let's start.
Do you want to do a test to make sure they're not binding? And
sure.
Okay.
All right, we're just gonna test this.
Ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Should they come in nice and smoothly with the wires?
Okay.
How's everything look underneath?
Yeah, it looks good.
I can't see.
Tidy.
Okay, so all four of our lower sliding panels are mounted and wired up, and they seem to be sliding well. We don't actually have the actuators wired up yet, so we can actually only move them out one pair at a time right now because we're having to manually power the actuators individually. But everything's working well. They're making us some power, so we're gonna go test our numbers and see where we're at.